If you have been watching the Orlando market, maybe you're thinking that you should wait, but what if that's a mistake? We have been seeing massive price cuts along the Orlando market and outside corridors over the past year, which has made this a prime opportunity, maybe one of the best buying opportunities that we've seen here in years. For example, in some areas, we've seen a 47.6% on the high end drop in pricing for homes. So that's a dramatic decrease from the highs that we saw a couple years ago. Obviously, that's not in every area, but that's just on the high end of the statistics. So basically, we've seen it flip from a hot seller market that it was a few years ago to now a buyer's market. Also, homes are sitting on the market longer. For example, the average home is staying on the market for 84 days in Orlando, which is up from 20% from just a year ago. Also, prices have gone down this year on an average of 3.5% over the Orlando market and vicinity. So that is a statistic from July 2024 to July 2025. What does that mean? That means it's the biggest price drop that we have seen on average overall in many years. So that's a stat that means that it might be a good time to buy now before the market shifts again. Meanwhile, at the same time, overall inventory has risen, which basically gives buyers more options and much more negotiating power. So overall, if prices are down, inventory's up, properties are staying on the market longer, what I see is opportunity. So this is a great time for buyers to come in, and there are some buyers who are taking great advantage of this and coming in and swiping properties they normally wouldn't have been able to buy a few years ago for a lot lower of a price. Why are some buyers hesitating? Buyers are hesitating because they are thinking about there may be another market crash. Now, all the data, drivers, and indicators are not showing that to be happening. What they're showing is that the market is expected to stabilize or even moderately increase in 2026. We're not in a situation like 2008 where we have credit default swaps and over-leveraged mortgages. We're not in that same situation. So this trend is actually expected to go the other way slowly, not as fast as we saw the drop, but that's something that you really should analyze as to why people are thinking there's going to be a market crash when none of the data shows that that's going to happen. Also, mortgage rates, although they're still higher than what we saw in the pandemic era, they have softened a bit, and they're expected to soften more in 2026. The Fed has just announced that they're going to cut rates likely another 0.25%, and hopefully that continues into 2026. So what that means is it means more buying power for buyers in 2026 and beyond. So here's the catch. The more buyers wait, the more competition could return, and those deals that you can find now may not always be there in the future. Once the competition comes back, then inventory could shrink, prices can go up. And why would you want to wait for more competition to come in when right now you can negotiate the best prices for the properties before you have more competition coming back into the market? In short, waiting for the perfect bottom may backfire. You might miss out on the good deals and end up paying more later on when demand picks up again. So if you're considering buying, here's some things that you need to consider. So strategizing, looking at prices can be confusing at times because they're kind of all over the place. So don't expect every listing to be slashed 40 to 50%. Obviously, there's certain silos where houses are going to hold their own value, but in the markets that are depreciating in value, you're going to want to look for ones that are priced well. Some sellers are going to be more motivated, they're going to be priced better. Some are going to be overpriced. So the ones that you're seeing the big slashes in prices, they were overpriced to begin with, or now they are more motivated to sell, so they're going to be dropping the price. So look for those. Look for those more motivated sellers. Look for things that are not overpriced, that have already adjusted for the market changes. Secondly, I want to mention that you might want to look for sellers that have been on the market a long time, maybe expired listings that never sold the first time around. So once a seller's been on the market for a really long time and they've been waiting and they've kind of seen the offers that have come in or not come in, or the showings that have happened or not happened, they're a little more realistic at what their sales price should be. So those are the ones you're going to get the best deals on. So don't look at days on market as a bad thing. That seller might have been overpriced before, or maybe they got offers and they rejected them in the beginning and now they're regretting that decision. So it doesn't mean there's something wrong with the house just because it's had days on market. That might be a great buying opportunity for you. So in summary, to my buyers, if you go in with a clear plan, a good financing situation, ready to move, ready to negotiate, you can get a really good deal in Orlando right now. So now I want to pivot and talk to our sellers. So sellers, we need to really be realistic and accept the market as it is now if you want to put yourself in the best position to sell. So, you got to be realistic at what your sales price is going to be. The market is not where it was a couple years ago. For some, that means that you need to adjust your expectations. It isn't a good idea to let properties sit on the market with higher prices anymore. Other sellers are already reacting, they're price dropping, they're doing huge price cuts. So make sure you look at the other properties, not just what their list price is, but make sure you're analyzing how long they've been on the market, how many price drops they have, what are the closed sales, what do they look like, how often things are closing. If you only have, one sale closing every quarter and you have 20 properties on the market, what is going to make you stand out? Usually it comes down to price also and condition, but you definitely don't want to be overpriced. You're just going to have, days on the market racking up, which isn't a good look. It's going to happen. Other people are going to be slashing their price, so you want to get ahead of the curve. We have another video that we published recently called The Diamond or the Deal. So please, if you're a seller in this market, check that one out too. So, are these massive price cuts in Orlando a red flag, or are they actually a golden opportunity? For buyers out there, we see some properties that are now on sale like they haven't been in years. So, I would say get off the sidelines if you're a buyer, start looking now, find those motivated sellers, find the ones that have been on the market for a long time, negotiate an even better deal for yourself, and also reach out to us. We're happy to give you a free consultation. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.